right, everybody. I can't even tell you how excited I am to have my friend Jess Starr with us this week. And she's been with us on the podcast before. And I just love you, Jess. And I knew that we could, because we have such good conversations. And
Yeah.
sometimes, not that I'm not present in the moment, but I say to myself, God, I wish somebody else was listening to this because I feel like they could just grow from it or learn from it, or maybe they could share something that we could grow from. I just think we just have a knack of having some real talk, and I think
Yeah.
that's what people need today. So thank you for agreeing to have a real talk conversation that we're recording this time.
We often wonder why people can't be in our heads for these
Yeah.
conversations. Sometimes we have with ourselves or a good girlfriend or a great friend from work and then we think like, gosh, can we just share this with people? Because this is kind of the conversation we're going to have today is kind of what I feel like.
I do too. And then to be really just transparent, there are times when I say to myself, oh, nobody wants to go in my head right now.
No,
You
it
know,
is a
because I,
cluster for sure.
yeah, I'm trying to clean that out myself. Right? It's like that closet that needs to be cleaned out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's happening in your world? For those of you who don't know Jess, she's a real estate icon. She leads a big team, and you've been in the business for how long?
Oh gosh, since 2004, 2004, 2003,
Yeah,
like
20 something
21,
years.
22 years. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
so you've
started when I
learned
was
a thing or
23.
two.
Yeah. I've been around the block, as they
Yeah,
say.
yeah. And so I know that you just had some exciting things happening in your business. You made some changes.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I wanted to talk about today too, is change, because
Yeah.
there's a group of people in the world who, like me, crave change. And then there's a group of people in the world who really struggle with change, right? But at the end of the
I'm
day,
in that group.
you're in which group?
To be fair, I'm on the struggle bus. So change
You
is not
are.
easy for me. It looks like it's easy when you see me do it. But to
Sure.
be fair, that's what you're seeing because that's the highlight reel. You didn't see the year to 5 years before I was struggling to make the change.
Yeah. See, that's huge because I think sometimes we see where they land, right? We
Yep.
see whether it's through social media or just knowing the person, we see how they land, but we don't really think about what it took to get there. So what do you think is hard for you about change in general? Like what do you when you say
Oof.
you're on the struggle bus, if you don't mind being honest, because I know there are a lot of people who feel like you do.
Yeah, and if I'm nothing, I am but brutally honest always. So when I made the first change in real estate, let's say, so
Mhm.
I was with my first company, Prudential, that was turned to Berkshire Hathaway while I was there for 7 years, and I switched to Keller in 2010, and it was painful. Like when I say I change, I don't like change. I live in the town I grew up in. I married my high school sweetheart.
Oh,
Like I am a steady Eddie. I'm a constant. You can count on me always. If I am your friend, I'm your friend for life.
yeah.
Like, if I am not a friend with somebody, I likely have not made the choice.
Okay, fair. Well, thank you for
Um,
choosing me as your
yeah,
friend.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And by the way, if the choice was made, I probably might have wanted to make the choice, but I am the last one to truly make the choice to push someone out. So when this year has been a big awakening for me, I might say. And I don't
Mm.
know if that's because I'm hitting that perimenopause stage. Ladies, I am 45 and I will be brutally honest and share all the things because I think I'm in a year of growth and evolution and change. And I am finally embracing it and
Mm.
learning to love myself and do all those things that I have not felt comfortable doing and I've been putting off to put everybody else first. I've been with Keller Williams for 15 years and I have absolutely loved them. I still love them, to be honest with you, but I just had to make some changes that weren't in alignment with me on a local level. And that's okay. Things happen, people grow apart. And I just needed to do it for my team. I needed to do it for my mental well being. I needed to do it for my business so that we could grow and feel like we had more opportunities in a different area. And it was so painful. I have to tell you, I'd been thinking about it for probably 4 years, if not
Mm.
longer. I had started talking to a different place for over a year. And even to do it, it was so painful for me. Like I started struggling when I say mentally, physically, migraines, all the things, like my body was reacting to it. That's how painful it was.
Yeah.
I could feel myself pulling back from things, like, and nobody probably knew because I was just fairly quiet about it.
It's interesting because one of the questions I thought about, I didn't really prepare a lot because I do feel, you are my friend and we can have pretty open conversations. We were on the phone recently over an hour, and so there's never a problem with that. But yet I wanted there to be some purpose to our conversation that would help other people too. So I had thought about, because this conversation is not about real estate. It's not about the company you're with, the company I'm with, even though they're different. And I met you because we were both at Keller Williams. And even though
It's such a phenomenal company.
I feel like what we're talking about is so much bigger than that. I was going to ask you if there was like a defining moment that made you say it was time to make a change. But I feel like what you're saying is showing us that sometimes it is gradual
Yeah.
and sometimes it's sort of, I don't want to say piles up, but I guess I'm thinking about the drops in the bucket, right? Of drop here, drop there, but then suddenly you turn around, oh, the bucket's pretty full.
It
And
was
so
like a drip of water over time that accumulated. And then it was all these things. And if you're a creature of habit, like I am, and if you are consistent and a steady Eddie, even though, in our company, we had learned the disc profile, and I'm a driver
yep.
and I'm the life of the party, so I'm an ID. And you wouldn't think that the steady Eddie and the constant would also be me too, but on certain sides, I am. And making those changes were so challenging for me, but until it started affecting my health and my mental well-being and my joy, it really was the joy barometer that hit me the most. And I finally just couldn't do it anymore. And I think that what happened for me was I was no longer willing to compromise on my level of joy for
Big.
it was huge, and honestly no dollar amount mattered to me. That was never my driver, and I could make any kind of money I wanted to make. That was never it, but it was, am I in alignment with the people I'm working with? Am I making all the things I wanted to make? And so that goes back to like a personal level too. So January 1st hit, and this is really funny, but I like had this epiphany. And I just said, if it wasn't an immediate hell yes, then it was a hell no. And that meant a person, place, thing, event, something in my house, like anything. If it wasn't an immediate hell yes, then it was a hell no. My husband and I said this to each other. So I finished, being the co-chair of the fifth grade pasta night. I said, I'm not chairing any other event for my kids thing. I was not being the fencing club booster mom anymore. I have
Yeah.
4 kids in 4 different schools too. And I was at every single event. My husband and I attended every event together to watch every sporting event.
Of
I
course
was on
you
the
can.
ladies auxiliary for the fire department. I gave them my request for honorary life status after 24 years.
Wow.
I had been president for probably 5 of those years.
And I
I,
really hope people are listening to this, especially the women who are on this, who follow this podcast, because I just feel like we are made differently. We think differently. We respond differently than our male counterparts. No offense, guys, but we're
yep.
talking to ladies right now. And this is a big thing for a lot of us, especially those of us who are drivers and who
Mhm.
are high achievers or who want to just contribute and want to, give back, or who feel like being a leader is their vocation. I mean, all the things, I'm in that group too. And this has been a tough thing for me to learn because I've had to tell myself saying no. And I'm so good at giving this advice to everybody else.
Yes.
I'm
Aren't we
such
all?
I'm a phenomenal coach. Like I
Yes.
help people work through so much stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And yet then I sit back and I'm like, "Ooh, maybe I should take a little of my own advice," because no is a complete sentence. And sometimes we have to just be clear about the boundaries. And I remember you saying this to me. You shared the same thing with me on the phone. And I actually, from that day on, I've written in my planner. I have a paper planner in front of me all the time. I do use my Google Calendar, but I like the book. You too? That's why I love you. Yep. See, we're the same person. There's a whole reason for that. We could do a podcast episode on why you need the paper planner. That would be another episode. Stay tuned for that in the future, guys. But here's what I'm trying to say to you. I wrote in my planner so I could see it every day. Focus on what brings me joy, because you said that to me. And here's what's interesting, and I love my coach. My coach told me focus on what brings me energy, which I love too. But here for me, I turn that energy into how I can give to someone else. So it still
Hmm.
puts me in the cycle, if that makes sense, of giving, giving, giving. Focus on what brings me energy. People bring me energy. Helping people brings me energy. So it put me in the loop still. But when you said focus on what brings me joy, that was a game changer for me. And how
Yes.
many of us are doing that? How many of
Um,
us who are in our 40s and early 50s, like we both are?
mhm.
You're younger than me. You're in your 40s. I'm in my early 50s, but once again, put me
Listen,
in the older category. But are we doing that? Are we taking the time to prioritize our own joy?
we all need girlfriends like this though, because I need the friends like you to tell me, hey, here's what's coming. You need the friends like me to remind you, hey, here's the thing you should probably also be focusing on too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it was funny. I'm the universe always aligns, and I swear to
Yes.
God, it is listening to me. Like, I am on like a master path of attracting lately, and it is crazy because even just the podcasts that are coming to me that are just like showing up and playing, it's the weirdest thing. And then all of a sudden, the emails I'm getting from all the influencers and whoever else. I got one from Rachel Hollis today, and it's literally the stuff that I've been talking about like crazy. And it was just her like newsletter, and it just said a definition of productivity. And it's just, here's the little thing. It was the something you need portion of her letter. And it said, productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. You don't
Mm.
need to fill every moment, which is something I am notorious for. Every last second I could fill. You don't need to fill every moment. You don't need to prove your worth with your output. Resting, reflecting, creating space for joy. That counts. Let's normalize a version of getting stuff done that includes your well being.
Wow.
I
I
was
love
like,
it.
what?
I'm a Rachel Hollis fan. I love that.
This is literally everything I've been focusing on. And she put into words exactly what's been in my head.
Well, and look, not to get too coachy, but you know what that's about. You've activated that part of your brain, right? The
Yep.
RAS. It's like when you buy the car and then
Of
suddenly you're like, "Oh my God, I love my car. Nobody has this car." And then you're like, "Oh my God, everybody has this car." It's because you're paying attention. So
course.
I think the universe gives you what you're ready to hear.
Yep.
You know, I think the other challenge for a lot of us, I don't know if you feel like you have been affected by this, but I think a lot of us can wrap our identity into what we do,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then that's another reason why when it comes to change or trying to navigate transitions or shifts, we find or we decide it's harder to do that because we've wrapped our identity in what we do. Did you struggle with that too with this recent career move?
So it's funny because yes, I did. And the funny thing is I've been considering going into coaching for years. Everyone has asked me almost my entire life. And I coach my team. I've always coached my team and they've always done exceptionally well. And I haven't wanted to do coaching for others until I could really commit to it because I've always been in sales and everything else too. And I don't like doing anything unless I can be all in. But
Mm.
because I'm such a, 0 to 100 plus person, it's either all or nothing. And I've never given myself permission to be like, it's okay to be at 25. If
Well,
25 is
wait.
my 100%, then 25 is okay.
Yeah, but what does all in mean? Because this is what I thought of, and maybe so. This is what I thought when I heard you say that. You can still give coaching 100%, even if you only do it 25% of your time.
That's exactly what I just said. Yes.
Okay, okay, just
But
making
I
sure
never
I'm
made
following.
that. But for me, I had never made that connection. So
Oh,
it would be like I have to do just coaching. Do you know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? So
Yeah,
me
yeah,
taking on 4 to 5 clients would
yeah.
be okay. And if I only coach them 2 days a month and it's only X amount, like that's okay.
If
But
they're getting 100% of your time and attention, and you're committed to, really being an effective coach, and they're moving forward, changing their life or their business,
yes.
that's amazing.
And here's the thing. So
Yeah,
I
I know
will,
because I do it.
yeah. And the couple people I've taken on, and I've taken on this year during the most cluster, chaotic, whatever. I was talking to them the other day, and as I'm coaching them, they're like, I just, wish I was doing a little bit more. And I said, well, hang on a second. As I was talking to one of them, I go, I just want to celebrate you for a second. And they said, why is that? And I said, I don't know if you realize this. I said, but let's talk about the number of units you've done and the volume. And you're not defined by that. And they're not. I said, but you've already done 2/3 of your production that you did last year, and you've made, you're more than 3/4 of the way of your income so far halfway through the year that you did last year. By the way, you've also bought 2 investment properties and you've spent more time with your family than you ever have.
I
So
can't imagine what that meant to that person to hear you help them see that, right?
he literally stopped and goes, "Oh my God, Jess, I didn't realize." And then I could hear him go silent and I heard him swallow the lump.
Aw.
And I said, "I don't know if you know what you just did for me, but you just filled my cup." And he's like, "Thank you for doing that. I didn't realize how proud I should have been."
Wow.
And this is like so amazing. I can't wait to keep growing with you.
Well, we were talking about joy a minute ago. You helped him connect with that. And I
Hmm.
think, listen, we've all gone through challenges, and someone listening right now might be faced with a challenge. And I think that we have to take the time, even when we're trying to figure out or navigate a shift or a challenge,
Yep.
we have to take the time to really recognize how far we've come. And there's
Yes.
so much that can happen from that besides just the feel good emotions and the joy that it brings. It also makes you start to see yourself in a new light. And I think we have to recognize how successful we've been, how strategic we are, how scrappy we might even be at times, right? The fact that we can thrive and survive.
Yep.
And we can forget that on any given day. So I feel like reframing his thinking was huge in that conversation.
And the moment you could, it's literally like if I had a ball of energy, I could feel it go and flip like that. And he was like, "This is just unbelievable." And then he said, Jess, I I'm not the guy that wants to pick up the phone and cold call. I don't even like people." I said, "Great, but you like to golf, right?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Perfect. So the next thing I want you to do is call your assistant." And he said, "Okay." I said, "Her one task is to book a tea time for 9 holes every Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and then to book happy hour right after that with the foursome you have. And for the rest of the year, you're going to have a tea time every Friday at 2 for a foursome. Now, you'll invite the first 3 groups, but after that, you only invite one other person, and they're to invite 2 other people each time,
Love that.
and they will build your database."
Right. I love that. It's so easy, simple, simple, maybe not easy for a lot of people, but at the end of the day, you just defined a really high level lead generation activity and connected it to something that he loves to do. The joy is there, which means that he'll continue doing it. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's a lesson in we make things too hard on ourselves.
Yes, you don't like to prospect, but you love to golf. You
Right.
network when you golf. Then you network with high net worth individuals who, the best way to get referrals is in places like golf courses. The next best thing you love to do is go boating with your family and boat.
Right.
So, what do you think they're going to ask you to do is help them find beach houses where you go boating with your family and have your beach house?
And I think I said the word reframe a second ago. That's what it is. Let me ask you this. How has your definition of, we could fill in the blank, right? How has your definition of success changed over the years?
Oh, so it's funny. I think when I had first started out, it was, oh, we would do our letters in a certain class that we would take. And I
Yes.
remember writing it. And if I could get that beach house and
Like
if
the
I could be
future
this,
self letter, right?
yes,
That you
yes,
read.
yes.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that. And now it's the time. How many hours, how many trips? And it's not even the trips, but it's how many times around the fire pit or how many times at the lake can we go paddleboarding? And it's just creating the memories. That's
Wow.
my definition of success, to be honest with you. It's how many extra hours can I get with my family?
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, when I'm at that bedside, no one is going to bring my trophies to me.
That's big. Yeah. You're right. You're 100% right. Because I think that, especially for a lot of us in certain industries, we're constantly looking at numbers. We're constantly measuring things, right? So I know you can get caught up in, okay, the numbers, right? How many deals I've closed or how much money I'm making, that defines my success. But
Mhm.
is that really what defines your success, or is it about the life you're living? And is it about the people you're connected to? Is it about, like for instance, yesterday I had my brother and his family over. My brother and I are almost 12 years apart, and I started very young having children. He was 35. So his kids are the same age as my grandkids.
Right.
And we have
Right.
a great time all together, right? He loves my kids. My kids and my brother are not that far apart, maybe, 10 years apart. So I'm looking around and everyone hanging out yesterday at my pool.
Yeah,
And we had, so much fun. It was a gorgeous day. And, we threw some food on the grill. And I said to myself, these are the best days. And
they are.
that is how I measure my success as well. Because you could peel that back and say, yeah, okay, I wouldn't have the time or the pool or whatever if it wasn't for being successful in business. But it's not about that. It's about how are we choosing to define who we are as people passing through this life and this planet. And that's why when I asked you about, I think a lot of women especially try to define themselves through their roles. Who are you without that? Who are you without being that title at work or someone's boss or someone's spouse or someone's parent? Who are you at your core? So
I
I'm going to turn that to you. Who are you, Jess, at your core?
every single sports game. I am the mom that's cheering loudest on the sidelines. I am the mom that it will book a spontaneous trip to have a girls trip with my daughter, to take her to my favorite restaurant in St. Pete and teach her how to go to the thrift shop and make a fun date because everybody got a theme outfit. So you are the 80s girl, you are the golfer, you are the, which sounds really silly, but it's super fun. I am the fun mom that goes to Disney and says, "You want ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? We're doing it."
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? I know the value of time because I lost people really early. And I know that when I am on my deathbed, they will remember those memories. And I
Yeah.
will remember those memories too. So it does not define me, the things that we have. We are blessed to have things because we've taken care of and loved a lot of people. But my goal is to be the mom that didn't care if my house was the neatest because I cared more about swimming in the pool with my kids. And I didn't care if I looked the best in my bathing suit because I got in the pool with my kids. Like I do want to look good, but you know what? Sometimes I just don't have the damn time to look as good as I need
Yeah.
to. And I'm working on that this year. This year is about me. It's about making my house the way I want to have it because I have taken care of all my sick family members. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I've said no to the ladies auxiliary on the fire department. That's why I'm no longer going to be chairing any of the events. I am still doing the community and charity events with my team and in my community in my town because that fills my cup. But for other organizations that I don't need to be a part of, the answer is no. If it's not an immediate hell yes, it's a no. But filling 300 backpacks for foster kids, that fills my cup. So
That's
I'm going to
awesome.
do that still.
Just to go back, you just went through a transition, right? You just
Mhm.
navigated a shift. And so,
It's
how does
like a
one,
divorce.
yeah, I was gonna say, how does all of what you're saying? Because I feel like you're dropping so many good nuggets or life lessons for anyone who wants to pick it up and look at that in their own life, right? So how does that relate to this transition? I know you said there were a lot of things. We talked about how things can seem to just sort of, it seems gradual and then sudden, but was there a moment where you said, I have to also make this decision because I need to stay true to what I know is important to myself, right?
Yeah.
Values, or was there a moment of clarity around that? Or is that something that you realize looking back?
So a couple of my values that are really important is financial stability. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, that is huge for me. And if I don't feel like I'm in an environment where that's the case, I need to go. Culture is a number one priority for me. So if I don't feel like I'm in an environment that is supporting that, then I need to change that. And I have created such a great culture within our team that is supportive, that is inclusive. That's why I felt like I needed to have that. And I have to say that, like, where I am at now personally within our own organization and at work and at home, I feel that. And I feel the love and I feel the education and I feel the training and I just feel supported and wanted.
Yeah,
Do you know
that's
what I
great.
mean?
Yeah. So, what would you say to a woman who might be listening right now who feels a little restless,
Yep.
who feels like there's a calling maybe for them to do something more, do something different?
Yep.
but they're scared. They're scared to make a change. Maybe they're even scared because they feel like it'll be disruptive in some way to their life. Because change does cause disruption. We
It
can't we
does.
can't ignore that. It changes things. That's why it's change. But what would you say to someone who might be feeling that right now?
So there was another podcast that just randomly played for me on the second. I played another one. It was a Mel podcast that was fantastic. I had listened to before. And right after it, for some reason on Spotify, it played this podcast that happened in the beginning of January this year called Unstuck Yourself in 2025 by Pawan Nair. And it said, get real with yourself and accept the uncomfortable and difficult situations.
Mm.
Accept change. You can't be happy and stay the same. The ego keeps you stuck and safe. Are you recreating the same experiences? The ego loves and lives in this pattern, and it has its identity in the pattern. You have to reinvent and redefine yourself. You have to step into a new reality. That begins by rediscovering and reinventing, and you need to have courage to ask questions and follow through. Make radical changes in your life. It's time to make some really big changes. A pattern can only be interrupted or broken by getting out of it. Only when you disassociate from the patterns, you realize you can do something different. So push yourself out of your comfort zone. Put yourself in a new situation. Don't be afraid by making radical choices and radical change because it's the only way. Take aligned action, cut ties, people, and places. Don't be afraid to take your power back. Make radical change, embrace change. Make yourself a priority. Yourself is the priority now. You've lived a life of self sacrifice for so long. Start caring about yourself first. Stop caring about everyone else first.
Mm.
Stop caring about everyone else first, but choose yourself, love yourself, care for yourself, cut ties with all energies that hold you back. Make change, break the pattern, commit to making yourself the top priority, and don't be afraid of change. Only through change and letting go can you have a new beginning.
Wow. Thanks for joining us. I don't even know what to say after that. That was powerful.
Isn't that weird? I literally wrote that all down as I listened to that, and I was like, I literally, as I'm listening, I'm just like writing. It was like just coming out of me as I'm listening to it. And then I was like, I'm talking to Anna tomorrow. I feel like this is for her.
Oh, it is. It's for me and everyone listening because here's the thing that I realized too, and this is just me being transparent. So sometimes you can really love your life and
Yeah.
sometimes you can be really good at what you're doing and still
Yep.
know that there's more for you. And that more may be different. And sure, it can be a little scary, but it's also exciting. And I think that we have to be honest about that. And listen, think about it. If you don't answer the call on your own heart, then what is that saying? It's saying that you're just not putting yourself first.
So 45 years, I have not put myself first. I have put everyone in my family first, my kids, four sick parents, a sick uncle, a sick husband. I have not put myself first. So I like this whole year,
How
I
does
literally,
that feel?
oh, hard,
Honestly. Hard,
hard
right? I mean, I'm glad
and
you said that
sad.
because a lot of people would be like, "Oh, it's great," but it feels
No,
like it's weird. It feels uneasy, right?
hard, sad, uneasy, and not fair. And it was
Mhm.
my fault.
Do you struggle with feeling like it's selfish, or is that not part of what your thoughts bring you to?
No, it's, at some point, I'm sure I told myself it was selfless
Mhm.
of me to
Definitely.
do.
Yes.
But I think in the end, it also was probably something that was probably just a trauma response or something for that I was taught to do. Because if I did take care of myself, I'm sure at some point I was told I was being selfish to
Mhm.
take care of myself because I should take care of everybody else. When in the end, that's not in fact true.
Well,
That,
how can you give what you don't have, right? We say that a lot. How do you constantly have the energy to be there for everyone else if you don't do some self-preservation? And then I think it's really important. Someone needs to hear this that's listening right now too. You have to move out of self-preservation, right? You have to move out of surviving into thriving. So maybe the shift starts with self-preservation,
yep.
but I don't want anyone to stay there because it's not that. It's really about being okay with saying, this is what's right for me. And if this is what's right for me, I'm going to live my best life and really show up as my best self, which means I'm going to give you the best of what I have.
Yep.
And that puts me in line to be a better service or to be a better listener or a better partner or a better business owner, leader, whatever it is. Yet, if we're constantly putting ourselves at the bottom of the list, that's where burnout occurs. That's where all of the issues come up with clutter in our minds, clutter in our bodies. Like we're
In
just,
our house, my house, the funny thing was we'd have rooms that would be totally fine. And then I realized, like, my husband had a traumatic accident in 2011, just after I joined Keller Williams. We, I think, talked about that on the last podcast.
yes, we did.
And I realized we must have had trauma responses to certain things too. And then my father getting sick and all these other things that we've taken care of everybody. And I looked at, like, we own multiple investment properties and this all ties together, and our Airbnbs and all that stuff. They are pristine. They are beautiful properties. Everything's put together. And it's not that our house isn't lovely. It's great, but there's spots in our house that I'm like, there's clutter. There's either so much clutter, or it's like my mom dumped all her crap when she moved, or we got all stuff left from John's dad when he passed away and his sister didn't take it. Like all this stuff. And then I looked at some of the kids' rooms and I'm like, oh, John never went and did this. And I didn't really look at it because I was busy working. Or so this whole year, I've literally shifted. When I say all the things, Anna, I went through and shifted all the rooms in her house. Like, besides my daughter's
Wow.
room, I had given my two oldest boys the master bedroom in our home, which, because there was three bedrooms upstairs, the master was massive when we had moved in, and my dad had gotten sick just after,
Yeah.
because I wanted all the kids on one level. And we took the smallest room in the house that was on
Hmm.
the first floor. And it was way too small. I knew that. And then I just stayed there because I got used to taking care of everybody else. And then we had just extra stuff. And all of a sudden I was like, that's it. We deserve the master. I don't just work here. I'm not the servant. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
So we moved the two boys downstairs into two separate rooms. We repainted everything, shifted all the furniture, moved us upstairs. Like, it was a colossal feat. And I was like, oh my God, we're adults. Like, seems so
But you
silly.
know what? It was probably so cathartic because it's about seeing that change through in your physical space,
Yes.
seeing it in your career, seeing you take a stand for what you needed and how you needed
Yes.
to live in your own home. Like that to me is big and it's symbolic of what was going on in your own mind and in your own heart. And I
Yeah.
think that's something else that we have to, it's funny. I have a thing about clutter. I am Monica from Friends, though. I do have two closets that if you open, I'll be mortified. You know, yes. But
Yes.
everything else in my house is pretty put
Yeah.
together. I don't like clutter. And my husband's always like, what, like, he thinks I just love to throw things away. And it's not that I love to throw things
Lately, I
away.
am too.
I just need to purge. I feel like I keep things that I need, that have utility. And I also am someone who's a traditionalist at heart, so there are mementos too. But there's something cathartic about just moving things through your space. And so if it makes sense to get rid of it, get rid of it. Just like our calendar, our to-do list, right? What are the things that should be a priority? What are the things that should be in your 20% every day? That's not just for lead generation and all the things that we know make a business effective. What are the 20% activities, 20% things that should be a part of your focus for your personal life, for your marriage, for your relationship with your children, right? Those things matter too.
I think the more I looked at it, I was like, these were all like either stuff that kind of got dumped on us or relative stuff. Or I looked at some of it and I was like,
And it all creates feelings, like the
well,
things feelings. So all that clutter is just, it's everywhere. It's
and
in
then
your
it's like
thoughts.
you have feelings of guilt tied to it. I think of being in real estate and how hard it is for a lot of our clients to get rid of their stuff, or they're like, well, this was grandma's or this was grandpa's. And I'm like,
Sure.
and it's easy when we took over some of the Airbnbs, we had some stuff from people and I could get rid of it and stage and do whatever, no problem. And then I'm like, you know what? In your own house, it is the most challenging thing. So, one thing I found, and this is a suggestion for a lot of people too, is We have a ton of charities that we support through our real estate team in Connecticut here. Journey Home CT is a wonderful one, and I hope they have it in other states too. But they literally have a way to rehabilitate homeless people.
Oh,
So it's great. So we have actually helped rehabilitate multiple homeless families. And what's helped me is that I felt like I'm breaking the chain of probably some hoarder tendencies of some of my family members because they were super poor. They came over as immigrants. And so, stuff to them mattered, or they were Great Depression babies, right?
mm,
I think the biggest thing for me is knowing that I can find a purpose to reduce, reuse, and recycle
that's
and
right.
help someone else.
Yeah, and that's right because I don't just throw things away. It's funny. I'm looking at something right here on my desk through Habitat for Humanity
Yeah.
with a list of things that I can donate. So I do the same thing.
Yep.
And what we might find as unnecessary or part of that clutter, someone else might need. So
Yes.
I think that's huge. To come back to something else I wanted to ask you, what is inspiring you most right now about this new chapter you're in, right? Because you're living out a new chapter in your career and in your life. What do you find is the most inspiring about that?
Because I feel like a new energy, and you could probably sense it too.
Yes, I can.
I I feel like I can see opportunity in everything. And I'm open to opportunities in every corner. So I might not do real estate forever. My team might, but I might have different opportunities coming my way. And
You're looking through a different window, right? That's what
yes,
change does. It's like you look
yes,
through a different window and the view is different.
I'm willing to see it now.
That's great. Oh, that's
I
so big. Willing to see it.
I wasn't willing to see it before. Like I was like looking through the curtain but not willing to open it. Do you know what I mean? Like I could see it but not really willing to open it all the way. And now it's like the window's open and now there's the door.
So, you said something a little while ago about the future self exercise.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, in working with my team or even hiring, we ask questions around like, oh, let's fast forward 3 years from now. What are we celebrating? But I'm going to ask you a little different question. I want you to go back and rewind to where you were 12, 18 months ago. Let's say 18 months ago.
Mm.
What would you say to her? Knowing what you know now, what would you say to that Jess that was going through what she was going through 12 or 18 months ago?
So I found myself starting to withdraw from events at the company. I also found clutter starting to pile up. And I know when notice your patterns is what I would say to myself. So if I start to see clutter piling up, if I start to feel the migraines starting, that's stress. And it's my body telling me when I don't realize it that there's signs like my body will get sick. If
Mhm.
I don't slow down, the burnout starts to set in. And even if I might take a long weekend or go take a week or two off, sometimes that's not enough. Maybe I actually need a sabbatical.
Yeah,
Maybe I need a month. Maybe I need 2 months off. I know that sounds crazy to say, but we've been on the grind and the hustle for 20 plus years. And our hustle is a hell of a lot different. When you're an entrepreneur, it is way different than a 9 to 5 job.
sure.
And having 4 kids, it's not like having one. I mean, I'm not saying one is not a lot. It is for somebody. I get it. But 4 kids, my husband is a stay-at-home dad, but he's a stay-at-home dad that also is going to build a deck right now, helping to run 4 Airbnbs, multiple rental properties, multiple businesses.
Yeah,
He's not really just a stay-at-home dad.
right.
And we co-parent, like we both share dinner
And
making,
that
both
isn't
share
that true
grocery
of any
shopping.
parent who may have that? I think we should just remove that title altogether so
Yes.
we can know what that means. What does that
Yeah.
even mean?
He
Yeah,
should be making $130,000. That's what that
right,
means. But
right.
we equally co-parent. So we share dinner responsibilities, cleaning responsibilities. The only thing we leverage in our house is having somebody clean a few times a month. And at
Hmm.
that's not enough.
Hmm.
We definitely need more. Like
Well,
we
and I
need
think
new
that's a whole
landscape.
other conversation around how we define success and how we're living our lives in alignment with our own joy or with the
Yeah.
things because I get it, we all have different capabilities, but at the end of the day, can you leverage some stuff?
Oh,
Can you not afford to, like some people that I've coached are like, oh, I can't afford to hire someone to clean my house.
no.
And sometimes you have to sit back and do, like, let's say, $1 per hour exercise, or just really get real about what you could give up in your life in order to pay for that thing. Because when you pay for that thing, paying someone to clean your house or mow your lawn or whatever, when you take that time back, what can you do with that time
I'm gonna even tell
that
you
will
this,
grow you?
even more than the dollar per hour exercise, do a joy exercise. Because I will
Mm.
tell you, cleaning my house does not bring me joy.
Amen, sister. I
No,
like to clean house, but I don't need to do it, right?
no, I hate it. I hate it. I don't mind picking up, but I'm like, I don't want to scrub the frigging toilet. I have boys. They're disgusting. I want somebody else to scrub it. Like, no, they can clean that and they're still not going to do it the way I want. So it is worth paying someone. I will tell you, when we didn't have money to have somebody, when my husband broke his back, we had that October storm and I was pregnant with our third. I found out the day before he broke his back.
Oh gosh.
And my neighbor actually didn't have power, but my husband had rigged up our generator. Her cleaner had come over, and my two little 2 and 4 year old boys were running around with mud and snow. I was pregnant. He's in a hospital bed in our living room. And my neighbor said, Jess, she can't clean right now. Do you want her to come to your house? And I was like, what? I'd never had a cleaner. I'm like, oh my, we don't have
Should
yes,
I
yes, I
clean
want her
before
to
they
clean.
come?
I was
Yeah.
like, I literally canceled cable so I could have her.
Wow.
That's how important it was to have somebody to clean.
Yeah, and only you can make those, because I know there's someone listening, who might be tuning out this moment saying, "Oh God." But here's the thing,
Get
right?
rid of your streaming services. If you go buy coffee out,
Yes.
don't buy coffee out. Have somebody clean your house so that you can lay on the couch with your kid and watch movies, or like go make pizza
Yeah.
with your kid.
I think what at the end of the day, like, our examples might be right for you and me, or
Mhm.
whatever, but I think it's really about what we're saying behind that. You have
Yeah.
to be willing to pay attention, right? Because sometimes we can be a little asleep at the wheel. We have to pay attention to what matters most to us and
Yeah.
our priorities, and how can we fight for that a little bit more? Because we put a lot of energy into the struggle or the fight for other people, right? And for other things, but what's right for us? So what would you say to someone who's listening and maybe they're not ready to make big leaps or do some of the things exactly like we're describing? What's one small thing they can do to take their own power back or start moving in the direction of the life they really want? What advice would you give if you had a girlfriend sitting here right now saying, I don't know, Jess, I can't do all these things. I can't do a big thing, but what's one little thing that they could do?
So all I did in the beginning of the year, and I wonder if I have it here. I'm looking in the beginning of the year. I just thought I always write like a list of my 2025 goals, and I would write to myself. So January 15th, I said I wanted to release anything that doesn't bring me joy. Our goal will be to become more conscious of what we purchase and spend and consume and wear, to be cognizant about how things are sourced, made, and what chemicals are in them. The goal of
Mhm.
2025 is to minimalize the time spent working and maximize the productivity as I work and when I work. I will accomplish more in less time, and we will manage our expenses, health, and home well. Things I will release in 2025. So I literally said being on the ladies' auxiliary, any unnecessary debt, things, people, or situations that don't bring me joy, feeling stuck in work or personal situations, feeling obligated to do things, food that doesn't nourish my body, extra clutter in my house, putting myself last, wasting school vacations, and working on Sundays.
Wow. I love that. So do I have permission to share that in our show notes? Like, that's a great, I like to give everyone something to work on. The whole reason why I started this podcast, or call it, Monday Morning Mojo, was to give someone a thought that could just jumpstart their week. And
Yeah.
so that would be a great exercise, I think, for all of us.
Well, the reason I read, I don't know
Because you don't
why.
have to do that on January 1st. You can do that any day.
Well, you
Any
can do it
day.
any day, but the reason I shared this one too is like you asked me like how people could like get started if they say they can't do all the things I did, but like those things I listed were not like I'm going to sell 350,000 homes this
I
year.
know, right.
They weren't like I'm going to make $1 million and I want to save 100,000 and have
Right. And that's
zero
why I
debt.
asked you, like, how is your definition of success changed? Because sometimes we look at all these numbers and we can feel defined by all of that. And then what I mean too is that then if you don't hit certain numbers, you feel like you're a failure.
Right.
But
But you know what? I can check off all of these things.
so that's defined, that's successful. Well, and I think what I love about it, the mindfulness and the things that you declare are important to you, now you're going to line it up, right? So
Yeah.
even just taking a stand for what kind of products I buy in my house, you
It's
know?
so funny. I have not read this again until today.
Really?
And I
How are you
literally,
doing? Let's do a check-in. How you doing?
like, literally, I mean, I can check off every single one of these things.
Wow, that's big.
That's
Okay, so
crazy.
now I'm going to give you a homework assignment. What's next for you in this new season, right? Like you need a new list.
I do. I'm so excited. That's so awesome. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
feeling pretty good right now.
Ooh, I like that.
Right?
So if
So
you want
grateful.
anyone listening to this episode to walk away with one thing about themselves, about you, about we've talked about a lot of things, success, transition, change. What's something you hope someone's taking with them?
I hope what they're taking with them is that they get to define their own values and they get to decide what brings them happiness and what brings them joy. Happiness is an inside job. It
Yeah.
doesn't come from a person, place, or thing, it comes from you. And I think the problem with America today is that we are so focused on consumerism and capitalism. I don't think we are focused on the things that bring us joy. And I've been super intentional about chasing sunsets and finding sunrise because those are the things that bring me joy. And I remember, and I said this in our last podcast, that when my dad was his sickest and I came in complaining about a horrible real estate agent negotiating something and feeling miserable because I was getting sick and I had cramps and the kids were being terrible. And he was sicker than he'd ever been with cancer and a horrible botched surgery. He looked at me and he never once complained. And he said, "Kid, every day the ground's beneath my feet, it's a great day."
That's
And he
big.
was right. So I decided to chase the
Simple.
sunset and sunrise every single time I could.
I know. And something I say on this show a lot, and it's just to be real. We don't know how much time we have. I might live to be 100, or I don't know. It could be over tomorrow. And I
Right.
think that we can really lose sight of how to make every day a great day. And the fact that you woke up this morning is a gift. And now you
Yep.
get to decide what to do with that day. And the wisdom that your father had to share with you about, his perspective on life, especially when he had every right to
Yes.
complain and to not feel good
Yep.
and, all the things. He was really clear about what he wanted to set his mind on.
I looked at him and said, "I am the biggest jerk and will not complain again."
Sorry, Dad.
I'm
I
like, "No."
know. But that's human too. Like to
Yeah.
be human is it comes with a lot of stuff to be human. But I think it is about I think how we set our minds and how we just sometimes we just have to take a moment and be quiet because you don't even know. There have been times in my life where I'm like, I don't even know what I want. I don't even know what I'm thinking right now because you're so wrapped up in the things that are happening, the clutter around you, the chaos around you. You're trying to move the ball from point A to point B, but it's really about intention and taking the time that you need to figure out what it is that you want
Yeah.
and how to
No,
then line up what you want with what you say you want.
I don't know. I think if our kids want to spend time with us, and when we have friends over, all of them come out to hang out with us and make it a point to be around us, I think we're winning.
Ah,
And
that's so good.
I don't know. If we can catch a sunrise and sunset together and we want to be together, we're beating most people. If you love yourself and if you have someone that loves you, you're winning. If you have your health, even if you're sick, if you're standing up and you can see the sunrise, you've won.
I love that. I think we have to end on that because that is really too the fuel that you need to get through all of the challenges and all the changes and all the transitions, right? I know that we talked a lot about that. It can seem scary.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the one small step someone has to take, right? Is just
Yes.
getting grounded and knowing how you're winning every day by focusing on the things that really matter.
Yeah. If you like, honestly, sometimes you have to make it a point to go chase the sunset, go find the sunrise, Get outside in nature. We are stuck to our electronics. Like
Mhm.
I will pull them from my children's hands and be like, go outside and swim, go chase each other. Go, I know I'm a bad mom. I took your electronics away. I was sorry, I suck. Go play manhunt. But it's a thing. Like you have to do it. And as adults, we have to do it too.
I think you're right. And I think you're brilliant and I think you're smart. And I think that some of these things are what will make us healthier, but
Yes.
just calmer at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
We all
And
just need to be calm and find our zen.
well, because you know what? You make your best decisions when you get out of the chaos. So
Yeah.
I love you. Thank you for being here and for
Thank
sharing your
you.
wisdom and your experiences with everyone because I think that sometimes we have to be more open and share the fears, share the challenges, share the reasons why we do what we do because that little bit that you share inspired, I'm sure there's at least one person who's a little bit more ready to make a change today that they've been thinking about, and that's huge.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for having me always. If nothing else, I get to spend time with my sweet friend, and I am always so grateful for that. So keep
I
doing
need to
what
go
you're
taste
doing.
the
People love it.
sunset with you. I'm going to come to Connecticut and we're going to hang out on the
You
beach.
come to Connecticut or come visit. Let's go to St. Pete.
Okay, let's do that. All right, well, we're going to sign up now so we can plan our trip to Florida. I love you. Thank
Me
you.
too.